Hi, moms and dads. Good to see you again virtually. I hope you've been enjoying our series on practical life and how to implement it in your home, a safe and productive learning environment that won't disrupt you or cost you $1,000,000. Today, what I've done is I've set up a super simple little skeleton of a work area in my classroom that is something similar to what I would probably also do at my home if I were in the position you guys were in right now. I'm going to go ahead and show you, and I'm going to walk you through it a little bit. Of course, if you have any questions or anything at all, ask me. Email me. You guys have been great about communicating, so just keep it up. I'm more than happy to answer any questions and help you pinpoint a way to tailor this to your own home and your own child and where they are. So let's see if I can turn this guy around. Hold on. Yes, here we go. I think. Yes. So I wanted to go ahead and show you this little area where I have set up. This is all that you would really truly need in your home. You need a small table or a dedicated spot. You could make it out of a TV tray if you had to, and a stool. You guys can put this together. It does need to be a spot that is not used for anything unless it is a work-related thing or something set apart from your normal daily routine. So you see what I've done is I've made it child-sized, and I've made it inviting by putting a little plant on there and a peace flower that we'll talk about in a little bit. Child-sized seating. Now I'm going to sit here to show you the rest of what I have. All right. Above there, and you don't have to put it right here, are a few things that I will explain later, but do notice, very importantly, there is a towel. My towel is something I would use in place of a work rug. You have to have something like a work rug that can be used for floor work that your child does during his or her work period with you. Over here, you have a basket, and in the basket is a folder. I believe it says Division Dry Erase, but instead of that, it should say your child's name. So, just write their name on the front. They don't need a sticker. We use the sticker system just to help them differentiate their names and get used to seeing them. But if you only have 1 or 2 children, you won't even need that. Just write their name on the front. And this becomes a place where they put finished work and anything that does not need to be dried first, like artwork. Now, I think I've showed you before my little drying rack. You need something to dry things on. Again, you are more than welcome. I mean, I could take a push pin here, and run a string between them with little clips. That's a drying rack, you guys. It doesn't have to be fancy at all. Here is your child's workspace. When you are not having a school thing happen, when you are not expecting focus and attention, this area should probably not even be used. It can be used, I would say, to your child only when you are ready and willing and feel prepared to focus on your work and yourself and be very present with it. They will understand that. They all do already, and they will love having their own little nook to work in. Now, over here. Oh, but what is this, you say? This is just a shelf. And I want you to see that it's covered. The reason why it's covered is because right now it's not work time. The work that you choose to put out Montessori style for your child should probably also be set apart from your normal home routine. It does not have to take up much space. In the grand scheme of things, this thing is a small bookshelf. And when I'm not teaching my child or my child is not engaging with this shelf, it is covered up because it's not a toy and it's not a plaything. This is their work and they take it seriously, and this shows them that we also respect their time and we honor their space. Now, when it is work time, remove it. And let's go through the shelf. And again, here's my little dedicated workspace. Don't even look at the globe and stuff. That's just on top. But I've got a basket on the floor of books. Do have some books that are special only to work time. Maybe that have to do with whatever you're studying here at school with me. Maybe that have to do with a book that your child is reading or an emergent reader that your child is looking through. Whatever you'd like, but do keep it separate from your regular family books. All right, let's look again. Here's your workspace. There's your extraneous stuff up here. And now let's start at the top of this shelf and we'll talk about it. I'm only doing a little at a time, and I'm hoping that most of you have already seen my other video about cutting and pasting and simple art. This follows in that line. I've put out one tray, one scissor, one choice. one sign, your child already is familiar with this method. I've purposefully chosen things you can find at your house. Honestly, the hardest thing to find here probably for you guys is going to be this tray and this tray. Everything else is easily found, and actually these guys I find at thrift stores all the time. You have to look at the thrift store sections, and I know it's difficult right now, but you can still go to eBay. You can go anywhere you want and find these pretty darn cheap. You could even go to Montessori Services, which is one of our suppliers, and you can order trays there, but they are kind of pricey and I don't suggest it. All right, your child can choose cutting. We already went through that, and please feel free to go back and look at the first Practical Life cutting and pasting video for more on that. Now, I put together a different kind of similar work for you just so that you see you can put any kind of variation on things. So for this one, they've taken, I had some other little pieces of, actually, hold on. This is your base paper, and then these are the little cuttings from previous. So your child, after they're finished cutting, puts their pieces in this little pasting bowl, which, look, you guys, it's nothing but a ramekin. And then they are free to choose this pasting work. I've used, like I said, the tray. That is kind of hard to find, but you do get lucky sometimes. These are just little tiny sake cups. I use those all the time. Note that everything on the tray, minus the pencil, has its own container. It seems redundant, it kind of seems like overkill, but I'm telling you, it's what helps them develop a sense of order, is knowing that everything on their work has a place, and everything has a beginning, and a middle, and an end. So this is the beginning, and look at it, so neatly laid out. The pencil is there because we always put pencils on work so that they can write their names if they would like to. So there is a sequence of cutting and pasting, a little different from the one the other day. Note the materials, easy to find those plastic baskets at the dollar store. This is just a little espresso cup holding those green strips. Kid scissors, glue stick, you got this stuff, you guys, you can do it. Next up. Letter trays are a Montessori teacher's friend sometimes when you really are trying to save space. This is a pretty cool setup. I like it a lot. Back here, you've got your refill paper. It is sitting in one of those plastic trays. I've got two of the other plastic trays here with two different choices. One of them is free marker drawing. One of them is pencils with stencils. That rhymed. That was cute. It's pretty funny, but I don't know if you guys have the same problem. My children never put the lids on markers, so the entire purpose of marker work in my classroom at the beginning of the year is to watch the children and help them remember to put the lids on. They're still not totally there, and that's okay. But just a reminder to them, a gentle reminder that we put the lids on because if not, they run out and then nobody else can enjoy them or they can't enjoy them. So let's look back for just a second. Cutting work, when it's finished, goes in here. Pasting work, when it's finished, is wet, so it's going to be walked over here and put on the drying rack. Marker work, when it's finished, is dry already, so it goes directly into the folder. And the stencil pencil, same thing. It's a dry work, it goes in there. When your child replaces it to the shelf where it lives, it also needs a new piece of paper. Let's look under, shall we? This is something I'm kind of proud of. I was like, I've got to make it so these people can do this at home. And I did. All right, we're studying fishies. Look at that cute little fishy. This is a choice basket. So this is where you take the blank from of this fish. I hand draw these. They're so easy. You can print them from online, but why not just take scrap paper and do it? Try to use heavier paper like construction paper. Cardstock even is good. All right, this is the actual work. I have put together a pin punching at home work that is pretty darn neat because, pencil in case they want to write their name. The biggest problem with pin punching is that generally speaking, sorry for that glitch, you guys. Told you I'm still learning. This is my pin punching at home work I'm pretty proud of. I think I said this already, but check this out. One of the biggest issues with pin punching at home is that you usually would use as a backing for your tack or your whatever you're using to punch. We use beautiful wool pads that you won't have at home most likely, unless you're a wool felter, in which case you might, but they're pretty specific. So I went ahead and I was looking and I'm going, you know what would be a good backing? It's perfect. It's a dry sponge. I don't know why I've never thought of this before, but the dry sponge works wonderfully. And I know you have one at home. This is just a cheap plate from IKEA. This is just a giant tack. These are not my absolute favorite thing to do pin punching with. They're probably my third favorite. My first is a stylus because it it promotes better pincer grasp. And the second one is a short stylus. So I've got styluses that I use in the classroom, and sometimes I'll put these out if I'm running low. So the children do know how to use them. They're giant ones. You can use small ones, but I'm not a fan as much. It's all about how they're holding things. We want to encourage as close to the bottom as we can, tighter with more control. So pin punching, I think you know how that works because you've all seen it at home. It was sent home in folders, but you're going to go and your child is going to perforate poke by poke on the line. Now, when they bring them to me or Leslie or Ethan in the classroom and they say, can you poke this out for me? I'm done, because they don't want it to rip, which is fine. We're happy to do it. You'll want to do that for your child too, most likely. Sometimes you'll have someone that is kind of maybe straying in their thought pattern a little, and this is happening. So I never would say, here, Miss Susan, here's this. Can you punch it out for me? And I'd say, wow, you've really worked on that fish. Hey, let's check out the back. Flip it over and show your child how beautiful this is going to be when you punch it out. Except, well, when I get right here, I'm a little concerned because there's a lot of space in this area. I might rip it. And they every time will take it back and they will fix their work. So encourage that without correcting in a way that's, no, you did it wrong. You're just going to say, I'm concerned that I'm going to rip this. Something like that. We always try to keep everything positive. You guys know that. So when they're finished, you punch it out and they put it in their folder because it's dry, right? Just like you put glue on the drying rack, paint on the drying rack. Everything else so far, I believe, has been dry, including scissors, markers, and pencils. Okay? This goes in the folder, but this piece right here, which is a scrap, is one thing I don't have out, is a scrap bin. I usually have a green bowl or of a color. Here you go. Pretend like this is it. It could even be on your table like that. So after you punch this out, your child knows that the scraps go in here. You could also put it up here. Just think about logically where you think it should be. Okay, putting this back, and I want to go ahead and I'm going to stop the video here. Because what I would like to do is give a lot more. I'm going to show you one more, actually. I'm going to show you one more work, and then I'm going to stop, and I'll tell you why. So see this? I've put a puzzle out. Puzzle, yay, there it is. Well, children love puzzles. We all know that. I bet you have a bunch at your house. Are there some that you have not been using? Are there some that you think are too difficult? Are there some that are just not as interesting right now? Well, I can tell you that putting one out that they have not used in a while and presenting it like this, just on a tray or on a basket, on its own container, will change that. Your child can choose this if it's out on a tray, and it will be special because it's on the work shelf. So use and get some mileage out of things that you have not before. I do think it's important to have some manipulatives like puzzles and blocks and Legos set apart like this and put on your shelf. And that's because it also kind of it'll transfer. If you put out a Lego work here and it has a beginning, a middle, and an end, just like all of our work does, they're going to internalize that order. And even when they're playing with Legos during their free time, you might start to see a change in the way that it's put away and the way that it's treated and handled. So puzzles, they're great. Just put one out at a time. If it can be theme appropriate, fine. If not, that's fine. If it's too difficult for your child, you can help. You're welcome to help along. Remember, you either choose it on your adorable little workspace or on a work rug, okay? So just make certain of that. Now, the reason why I want to stop the video is because I want to talk a little more about some of the stuff we already kind of went over, and because this is a good spot. This is a simple handwriting and language workup, and this is all stuff, again, that you can have at your house. I bet you already have it, and just take a look at those materials and on these. The tray here came from IKEA. So I know that those are accessible to you guys. This is a small chalkboard, a ramekin, a tiny box. It's a cup. These are all things you should have at home. I really want this to be doable for each of you. So here you go. See this? Take a giant look at that setup again on the top shelf. Take a look at your puzzle. And remember, you want to do art probably at the top. If you have more layers than I do, you could put so much more out, but you don't want to overwhelm your child either. So here you go. We'll come back and do language in a separate video in a little bit. Okay. One more look over here. Work today, possibly, on getting a dedicated space, on getting a folder ready, on getting a drying rack area and a towel, on getting a special basket of books that is put away when it's not work time, and on getting some of these basic materials together. Do not open your child's work shelf until you are ready to be present as their guide. meaning it's not to be used as a time filler as much as an important piece of work that your child is doing. It is easy just to say, hey, go choose that over there and play with it. But these things are not for that. These things are to be used when it is specifically time. When I had to do this with my children for a while, I had a time every morning. We had a routine. It was not too strict. You don't want your routines to be so strict and overbearing that your child doesn't feel like there's breathing room or flexibility. But it is nice if they know, hey, I know that after I have breakfast, I'm going to probably get to watch one TV show, and then I bet mom's going to open my work shelf. You know, it's got to be something they anticipate and look forward to. More on that later too, but for now I hope this has inspired you to think about your own living space, what items you possibly have around the house to be repurposed as your new Montessori materials, and what kinds of furniture you can use to bring a little area like this to life. And hey, I'm always happy to help. This is one of my specialties, is bringing Montessori home, and I'm very passionate about it. So if you have questions specifically, send me pictures, send me ideas and questions. I am more than happy to respond. I can do Kinderlime or email. And you know what? I can also even do a Zoom conference with you one-on-one if you need a few minutes of my time just for me to take a look at your space and give you some suggestions, because I really, really, really want this to work for you guys and those kiddos. Missing them greatly. I'm thinking about everyone every day. I'll be back pretty soon with that language piece. See you later. Bye-bye. Hi again, everyone. Miss Susan again. I'm going to bring you right now the handwriting piece of your at-home Montessori workstation. Children love to write. Before they know how to write letters and sounds, they are writing symbols, just wavy lines, whatever they can. So we want to encourage that. In our classroom, there is an order in which writing is introduced, and it really goes from non-permanent to permanent. Meaning we start with things that are erasable easily. Nothing that's going to leave a permanent mark. You'll rarely see a pen being used. We use pencils, but that is even up the ladder some. So let me see if I can go ahead and give you an overview of my little tiny at-home Montessori language area. And it's not all language. Please remember, this is just handwriting. 1 minute. Okay, handwriting in the home. Really simple pre-handwriting to handwriting. I'm actually going to start by showing you this dry erase board. You have this at home, I'm sure. Just a dry erase board, an eraser. If you don't have an eraser, you can use a piece of felt like I did earlier, and a dry erase pen, and a little box. This is one of those little cheap cardboard boxes. Use anything. You can use a cup. It doesn't matter. We start with pre-writing, and usually I would use a chalkboard for it, but I'm going to use that for something else. So for pre-writing, we're just showing them how to move their hands in certain shapes that eventually will make up letters. I'm going to do small loops, and I want to show them the continuous movement of my hand, that I'm not stop and starting. I could do tall loops. I could do, what are some other cursive? Think cursive. The movements you make in cursive. And you can do letters, rows of letters like this, because, for example, R is actually one of the more difficult ones for them to get. But you know there are lots of loops in cursive. You know there are under loops in cursive, so like a J kind of a thing. And sometimes I just do wavies. That's very beginner. Sometimes I might do a straight line like this. Do you see? Easy. You can Google these too. Just Google pre-writing, and you'll see a few more strokes like that. I speak very highly of erase and trace because... Excuse me, Siri. I don't know why you're talking. That was strange. Anyway, erase and trace is a thing that I made up because I couldn't stand that they would just look at my thing and then I would erase it and they would try. There had to be a middle step somewhere, and I figured it out finally. I'm sure I'm not the first and I won't be the last. But it works best with chalkboards, but right now I'm going to show you on dry erase too. So I would write these things and say, these are some lines that I'd like you to trace, but first I'd like you to erase them with your finger. They love that. So they're going to trace where you were lightly and hopefully leave a little bit of an echo. Do you see the echo of my work here? It's there, but look, they have erased it themselves. Look, it's not messy, guys. They can just get that right off their finger. And then once it's erased a little by the finger, you're going to give them the chance to trace it. Oh, excuse me. So if they can't see it, that's kind of good too, because they have to kind of go by memory. So erase and trace. Works beautifully with chalkboards, and I'll show you that in a second with letter formation. Speaking of which, If your child is not pretty constantly working on sounds right now, he or she is probably not doing letter formation either. I'm happy to do a one-on-one with each of you just to let you know where your child is in language and with writing and handwriting. Anyhow, we'll get to that in a second when I show you the chalkboard. It's also fine if, with me in my classroom, if I have a blank dry erase board like this, it's fine if they want to take it out and draw on it, as long as it is erased and treated respectfully. I like to encourage it to be used for writing only, but it's kind of inevitable. They want to do it. So why not? You know, it's just a dry erase board. So I'm going to erase it, show them how to erase it. Pardon me, I only have one hand because I'm holding the camera. So it's a little awkward. And then your child is going to put it exactly where it was before. And I'm going to go ahead and show you chalkboard. I use chalkboards in math for numeral formation and in language for letter formation and for my my pre-writing exercises. For this one, how easy? Do you have a small chalkboard, a binder clip? This is just a piece of paper that's laminated. If you don't have that, it's fine. Just use a piece of paper. Put it next to it. You don't even need this if you don't want it. A ramekin with a piece of felt as an eraser and a couple pieces of chalk. And look how short they are. You want them stubby like this because it encourages this. We want this. This is good. What you don't want is like this. This is a no. There's another one that's really awkward that I can barely do because it's so awkward. Some kids have this, and they all have names. It's a modified something on this one. I can send you an attachment with correct and incorrect holding patterns of pencils. This is correct. And actually, I can show you guys a really cool trick too. If I have a pencil here, I learned this one a while back too. I call it the kickstand. Again, to correct the bad grips like this and that weird one that I can't do. And I mean, they will hold it like this sometimes. It's not right. The way that they want to hold it is to pretend like they are getting on a bike. They're going to hold their thumb and their pointer finger, and they're going to slide down to the seat of the bike, which is right at the bottom of the pencil. But then how do you make it so that when you get up, it doesn't fall off? It needs a kickstand. There's your kickstand. Use your middle finger as the kickstand. That's the correct way to hold it. I hope that helps you guys. Okay, I've done it with the arrows to show them how to flow with this letter. This is a child that's already working with sounds and who has had a lesson like this. Again, ask me. I will tell you where to start in handwriting with your child. One-on-one, no problem. Email me, Kinderline me, whatever you need. I'm going to show them by putting my finger above how to follow the arrows, and then I'm going to come over here and I myself, here comes the awkward weird thing where I have to hold the phone, hold on. I myself am going to write the letter with one hand. That's cute, Susan. Hold on. I'm going to go nice and slow, write that letter. Not going to say the letter while I'm writing it. I'm going to say it before I write it and after. Can you go ahead, please, Bethy? And what I'd like you to do is look at my arrows over here. And I'd like you to go ahead and erase this with your finger. Now, this is where erase and trace is really cool. Bethy's going to come behind me. She's going to feel her way down to erasing that all the way. But see how it leaves that shadow? It's so cool because now she has a ghost to follow instead of feeling like she's left out with nothing to lean on. So do erase and trace. Here's the trace part. Yay, good work, Bethy. And then ask her to trace it again if you'd like to darken it up. And then she's done. Then Bethy is going to erase it with her Felty. We're putting this back. That is such a good way to do it because, again, leaving that little ghost behind gives her some confidence that, oh, I still have something to follow. I'm not left out in the dark. You don't want to ever start with a pencil. You always want to start with chalk. Chalk is erasable. That's how we get away from the idea of perfectionism. It's okay to make a mistake. It feels okay instead of feeling permanent like that pencil mark does. The dry erase is kind of a go-between, and I'm happy with it for the most part because kids love it and it feels like a marker. So if you use it secondary to the chalk, I would appreciate that, and I think your child will too. Chalk is king. Small, short pieces are best, okay? Now, finally, paper. Every child loves to write. Before they write symbols, they're writing just wavies like I was doing on the dry erase board. This is so simple. It's just a clipboard. And anybody can have this. This can just be a free choice if you want it to, or it can be very, very specific. It's up to you. Small piece of paper, a pencil, a tiny clipboard. I know you have this at home somewhere, right? And then back here, you've got a paper refill station. These are just blank index cards. And back here, because I didn't have a lot of space next to it, is my sharpening kit, which I'll show you in a minute. This is just a free choice thing. You can be like, here you go. Here you go, Bethy. If she chooses this, she can... My one stipulation usually is if you're drawing, you have to write it too. So Bethy might draw this. It's pretty good, right? You can tell I've seen a lot of children's drawings. And then I'd probably say, even if Bethy doesn't know what she's doing, I would say, can you write your name on there, Bethy? And I'd let her mimic what she calls writing, okay? That's fine. And then if she's interested in her name, well, I can't write it. Oh, okay, Bethy, do you want me to write it and you can trace it? Be excited. Yes, yes. Always have for yourself a yellow marker on hand. This is your friend. And I would write her name. Can I write it here, Bethy? Yeah, yeah. All right, here you go. Bethy. Look how she spelled it with no E. That's so cute. Bethy. Okay. After you've written it in yellow marker, it kind of is that ghost tracing again. She's going to come behind you and trace her name. This is also, for more advanced writers, a great way to just do name practice. Get some blank paper or some lined paper. I can send you links to some online you can print. Do some yellow ghost writing like this, and then have your child follow it. We do that a lot at school too. This is finished, Bethy. Where does it belong? In my folder, yay! Okay, it goes in her folder. Then she's going to put back, oh, wait a minute. There's a problem. Her pencil's dull. What do we do? Oh no, it's broken. Oh my goodness. Okay, so Bethy's pencil is broken and she's got this lead over here, and that could be upsetting, but luckily this wonderful parent of hers has prepared this sharpening work, which is, whoops, self-contained and so helpful. It contains a brush for shavings, and it also has a real pencil sharpener. So Bethy's going to sharpen her pencil herself over a surface like that. Now, if she leaves shavings, which there would be shavings right here, obviously, she can then use this brush. And this is one of those Japanese paint brushes that are really cool. You can use almost anything. And she's going to have this as her container to put them in. Take this to the trash, empty it, replace this, put it back, and then, and only then, will she replace her then sharpened pencil, give herself a replacement of paper, and replace it to the shelf. So you see, we are doing everything in our power to make these children self-sufficient in this little environment that we've created. And you can add and subtract as you think is necessary for your child's development and where they are. Okay? Great. Thank you for watching. And I just want to reiterate to you again that I am here at your disposal should you have questions about where your child is with handwriting and with cutting and drawing and anything. I will help you tailor things to your child. I will let you know that I am in the middle of conference report writing right now, so I'm a little extra taxed, but I might take a little longer than usual to get back to you, but I will. And again, if it would help you to see me face-to-face like this and have a Zoom conference, I'll do that too. As long as our schedules both are free, there's no reason why I cannot help you. It's my joy and my pleasure to help you and to just know that your children are thriving even more at home with this added into their life. So take care, have a great day, and I will be back very shortly with some more activities that are easy to put out on your shelf like that. For now, dig through your stuff, get some trays, get some puzzles that haven't been used, and if you have questions on how to transform them into something magical like this, let me know. I'm here to help. Have a good one.